They say Aokigahara, Japan's infamous suicide forest, is a place where the living and the dead walk side by side. Beneath its twisted branches lies an eerie silence, broken only by the cries of unseen voices and the whispers of those who never left. For centuries, legends have painted this forest as cursed, a labyrinth where spirits drag the lost deeper into its suffocating embrace. Some dismiss these tales as folklore, others swear the forest is alive, feeding on grief and despair. Tonight, we follow the story of a man who dared to walk into Aokigahara alone. An amateur paranormal investigator, skeptical and unafraid, determined to spend an entire weekend in the forest. He believed his camera would capture nothing but shadows and silence, but what he discovered instead was a darkness that reached far beyond human understanding. The beauty and the silence. The forest welcomed him with a deceptive beauty. The emerald canopy stretched endlessly above, sunlight barely breaking through, bathing the moss-covered earth in a dim green glow. Vines coiled like veins, rocks jutted like bones, and the air was unnervingly still, as if the world outside no longer existed. At first, he felt at peace. Birds darted between branches, and the crunch of gravel beneath his boots reminded him of long hikes back home. He noted the serenity, describing it aloud into his camera. "It's beautiful here, not scary at all." But the deeper he walked, the quieter it became. The birdsong vanished. The wind no longer stirred the leaves. He realized he couldn't even hear his own footsteps. Only his breathing remained, heavy and sharp. He paused, gripping his camera tighter, unease crawling up his spine. That's when he saw her. Through the tangle of trees, a figure stood motionless. A woman in a white dress, long hair veiling her face. His pulse quickened. He blinked, stepped forward, and she was gone. He rushed to the spot where she had stood, but there was nothing. No footprints, no sound, just a suffocating silence pressing against his ears. Something was wrong with this forest, and though he told himself it was only shadows, the creeping dread in his chest told him otherwise. The forest is patient in the daylight, but at night it comes alive, and it always starts with a sound. By the time night fell, he had set up his small tent in a clearing. The forest looked different in the dark, more alive, more watchful. He lit a lantern, its glowing stretching only a few feet before being swallowed whole by the shadows. He tried to record a video diary, forcing a laugh. So far, no ghosts, just trees. Maybe tomorrow the forest will show me something interesting. He turned off the camera, crawled into his sleeping bag, and closed his eyes. It didn't take long. First came the footsteps, soft, circling his tent. Then came the whispers, faint and unintelligible, like a conversation carried on the wind. He held his breath, staining to listen. The whispers stopped, and then something touched the fabric of his tent. A hand, pressing, sliding, fingers dragging across the nylon. He froze, heart hammering. Another touch from the opposite side. Then another. Multiple hands, patting, pressing, clawing. He couldn't scream. He could only watch the tent walls ripple as invisible visitors surrounded him. He grabbed his flashlight and unzipped the tent in one frantic motion, thrusting the beam into the darkness. No one was there, just trees, still and silent. His chest heaved as he spun the light in every direction, searching for movement. Nothing. But as he zipped the tent shut again, he realized his lantern had gone out, though he hadn't touched it. And the silence was deeper than before. In Aokigahara, paths don't lead you out. They lead you deeper, until you can't remember which way you came. Morning brought no comfort. He emerged from his tent, shaken but determined. He told himself the noises had been animals, the lantern an accident, the hands only his imagination. Determined to prove the forest wasn't haunted, he packed his gear and followed one of the marked trails deeper inside. But the trails didn't stay the same. The forest shifted around him. Paths that should have led north curved back to where he started. Familiar trees looked unfamiliar. Roots twisted into shapes he swore weren't there before. He pulled out his map, but it was useless. The landmarks didn't match. At one point, he found a rope hanging from a branch. Weathered, frayed. He followed it up with his eyes and felt his stomach drop. This was where someone had ended their life. He looked away quickly, but as he continued walking, more ropes appeared. Dozens of them. Some cut, some still tied. Silent memorials swaying in windless air. Panic built in his chest. He pulled out his phone for comfort, but there was no signal. No bars, no GPS. Worse, when he tried his flashlight and recorder, neither turned on. It was as though the forest itself was draining the life out of everything electronic. The investigator realized he was lost, surrounded by reminders of death, with no way to call for help. The forest was closing in, and he was trapped inside it. Everywhere he turned, the forest left reminders of those who came before and those who never left. Hours passed. His sense of direction unraveled. Hunger gnawed at him, but he couldn't bring himself to eat. Everywhere he turned, he found evidence of those who had come before him and those who had never left. Abandoned tents slumped beneath the weight of moss. Rusted cans, torn backpacks, water bottles half filled with murky liquid. He found clothes folded neatly on a rock, as if their owner had simply vanished into the trees. Trinkets lay scattered. Photos of families, children's toys, small charms meant to ward off evil. Then, tucked beneath a tree root, he found a note. The paper was damp, the ink smeared, but he could still read the words. To my family, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I'll watch over you from here. His throat tightened. He slipped the note into his bag, suddenly aware of how heavy the air had become. The whispers returned, only now they were closer, circling him. Overlapping voices of men, women, and children. He spun in circles, but no one was there. Branches cracked, footsteps shuffled. Low moans rose from the shadows. His camera, dead the night before, flickered to life in his pack. He pulled it out with trembling hands, pressing record, desperate to capture proof. But when he played it back, all he heard was screaming. Dozens of voices shrieking, drowning out his own breathing. He dropped the camera, terrified. The forest wasn't just haunted. It was alive, and it had noticed him. By the last night, he realized the truth. He wasn't studying the forest anymore. The forest was studying him. That night, the forest bared its teeth. He sat in his tent, every nerve on edge, clutching the note he had found. He couldn't sleep. He knew if he closed his eyes, he might not open them again. The whispers became clearer, threading into words. Stay. Join us. Don't leave. The temperature plummeted. His breath fogged in the air. Then came the sound of crying. Soft, mournful sobs just outside. He unzipped his tent in a fraction, shining his light, and froze. The woman in the white dress stood there again, closer now, her head bowed. She lifted her face slowly, and he saw empty, black sockets where eyes should have been. Her mouth opened unnaturally wide, releasing a low, guttural moan. He stumbled back, lantern tumbling over. The crying grew louder, joined by screams and footsteps pounding all around his tent. The ground seemed to shake as if the entire forest were alive, trees groaning, branches snapping. His phone, his camera, his recorder, all switched on at once, blaring static and distorted voices. He covered his ears, rocking in terror, praying it would stop. And then, silence. When he dared to look again, the woman was gone. The forest was still. But outside his tent, a new rope hung from the nearest branch, swaying gently. And this time, it had his name tied to the end of it. No one knows what truly happened to the investigator. His gear was found weeks later, scattered among the abandoned belongings of others who had entered Aokigahara. His camera contained hours of footage, but most of it was corrupted. Static, screaming, shadows that moved when they shouldn't. The final clip was of his tent, shaking violently in the night before cutting to black. Some believe he lost his way and never found the exit. Others whisper the forest claimed him, as it has claimed countless souls before. To this day, hikers in Aokigahara report hearing cries in the distance or catching glimpses of a woman in white among the trees. And sometimes, they say, if you listen closely, you can still hear a man's desperate voice calling for help that never came. Because no one is ever truly alone in Japan's suicide forest. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can join us for more mysteries and chilling stories from the unknown. And as always, don't forget to look beyond the fog.